We're talking. What are we talking about? We're talking about work-life
Balancing.
balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Aaron Covington,
And I'm Tony Rag,
and we are
40 Black and Dad.
this week we have another guest, another special guest. Tony, this is you brought this guest. Why don't you
Yeah.
introduce him to the world?
So this is my cousin, Gundi, my man. We've known each other literally our whole lives, same age, pretty
Yeah.
much. End up having kids pretty much the same. Like we're about a month apart, and our kids are about a month apart too, which is super crazy. How life works. So wanted to bring him on, talk to him about his journey. He's actually in the process of having another kid, so he has another one in June due, so about a month away. So
Wow.
just wanted to bring him on just and see his journey, see what he's prepping, anything different from the first time to the second time, and how his life has changed and will be changing in the future. So, welcome to the podcast, Gundi Simmons.
And
Woo.
I appreciate
Love
y'all
it
having
up.
me. Happy to be here.
Happy to
Uh,
have you for sure.
Definitely a interesting uh, premise as far as the show, because there's
No
not a
doubt.
lot of us. 40, and I'm guessing Aaron, your first time dad
First time
at
dad,
40.
39. I'll be 40
Yeah, well, about
next
yeah,
month. Yeah. So uh, about the same
yeah.
time your kid is due, probably.
Yep. So yeah, it was definitely, and like Tony said, I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, there's pictures our parents have of us as babies, not even able to crawl yet, playing in
Right.
playpens and stuff, and we're I think it's 34 days apart,
Yeah,
and then
That's crazy.
our kids are right at a month apart.
yeah.
Wait,
So
so
it's
who's
always
who's
that happen.
who's related? Who's related? Parents,
So
sister, brother?
they our my dad is his sister, or my his mom is my dad's sister.
Okay, mom, your
Yeah, my
Gundy's
mama is his
mom,
dad's big
Tony's
brother,
dad.
big sister.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice, nice.
and
All right,
they
so
still they live across the street from each other now
Now
too.
they live
Live
across the
across the
street,
street.
literally across the street from each
Yeah,
other.
so close knit family out there in South Carolina.
yeah, you went apart, came back together,
Yeah.
harmony.
And see, Tony
He,
was always my best cousin, even though he lived in Michigan and I'm in South Carolina. But whenever we got in the same town, whatever it was like we were best friends. Like nothing had
yeah,
passed. Like it was cool.
We used to
Like
be.
came down to Georgetown, played in the church league in the
Yeah, I was gonna
summer,
say, yeah.
like balling out. And when you
that's
left,
what's
everybody
up.
like, man, where your cousin at, man? He was good.
I was only there for
Yeah.
the summer.
Yeah,
They signed me to a 10-day contract.
exactly. That's exactly what it was like.
That's
So,
funny.
Yeah.
so Gundy, how are you, man? Thinking about having a second kid. I had a couple friends that had two kids, but I never really got to talk to them like this, and just how they were thinking about it. Especially the first kid was so recent. It's like you still remember, somewhere in your mind those nights, the 2 hour feeding schedules or whatever it is, and a baby that won't sleep through the night. How are you approaching that with a second kid?
Um, I would. I don't know. I was about to say I would love to say that I agree with you on that, but I can't. I don't love that. I didn't have to go through all of that. My daughter slept through the night, every single night.
From
Uh,
birth,
the
pretty much.
She was from birth, literally from birth.
Nice.
Like so, all that late night stuff that a lot of people dealt with, I didn't deal with that. So really, my fear now is because they say the kids are never alike. I'm like, I hope this one does the same, but the likelihood of that being the case is not. So now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to prepare to do that stuff. So that's
Yeah.
So
kind of what I'm at.
that makes me like, was the first one, is she still a peaceful child? I put that together with
No,
being
so
peaceful. Oh, okay.
nope. I should have been on this at 5 o'clock, and it took an extra 5 minutes, and that's with my wife being here unexpectedly. Uh, but yeah, no, she was throwing a tantrum as I'm getting out the car with chocolate chip cookies all over her face
Yeah.
that I just given her 5 minutes earlier. I don't know how you do that much damage in 5 minutes with one chocolate chip cookie, but but no, she say if they're an easy baby, they're a terrible toddler. She's a handful right now, but we're getting a handle on her. She turns 3 at the end of this month. Um, May 27th, which is she got the same birthday as our grandfather.
Yeah.
Wait, so their birthdays are going to be like really close together.
Yeah, they're gonna be because he's due. The due date is June 15th, but he's probably gonna come earlier, early June. We just found out the day that we're gonna go down to MUSC for the delivery.
Nice.
So down in Charleston. So we're in the upstate of South Carolina. Charleston's in the lower country. So there's a lot of challenges with this one. So we are paying out of pocket for everything right now.
Whoa.
Even my wife,
Wow.
yeah, it sucks. Long story short, my wife is a nurse, a RN, and our insurance is through her hospital, but that's who we had our first daughter with, and the experience was terrible. And plus, I had another, I wouldn't say friend, but somebody I knew, she actually died in childbirth.
Oh no.
At that same hospital a few years ago, and I didn't know how bad it was until I looked up the lawsuit that her parents filed, and it was basically neglect. So I'm like, nah, we're not having our baby through there. And so we
So yeah, you had to make other arrangements, basically.
Yeah, so there's another hospital right there, Prisma, and the thing is we signed up for out of network plan with the expectation of using that, and the hospital, United Healthcare and Prisma couldn't agree to terms, so they're not covered out of network. So that's how we ended up, without paying out of pocket. So
that's crazy, and that's one thing that we hadn't actually even addressed on this podcast yet. Is insurance and just everything that goes into the behind the scenes of the whole delivery and the childbirth and the OBGYN and the pediatrician. So that's definitely something that we can spend. We have to bring you back on and kind of dig a little bit deeper into that aspect of it, because paying out of pocket, like even with insurance, it's exorbitant costs. So I can only imagine the costs at this point.
And it wasn't like it was a hard decision, because it was all right, stay with her in network, which would be super cheap, and have that risk, or this other option that's like there's a no-brainer. I would pay out of pocket every day to make sure she has the best health care, because we just she works there, like we just don't trust it.
Wow.
Yeah, I definitely would want to hear when the next child comes, and then compare those experiences. That would be really interesting. Okay, so yeah, I hadn't heard that before either, but it sounds familiar. Where like easy, what do you say? Easy infant, terrible toddler.
Yeah, that's what they say. Because she was, when I say easy, I mean easy to go to sleep. The only issue we ever had was her feeding, and it's still the same. She didn't want to eat a lot, and she had we had to get special formula because she had the lactose intolerance or whatever. But other than that, like when I say the easiest baby, I took her everywhere. Like she was road tripping at closings. I'm a real estate agent. I mean, she was at closings at a month old. I was taking her to tailgates at Clemson football games at 2 months, 3 months.
And she was just good, not making a ruckus. Yeah.
I got videos. That's what I love about this era of having a kid. Their whole life is documented. Like we have like a handful of pictures from when we're babies, no videos.
Yeah.
Their whole life is documented. I got pictures, videos, every single stage of their life. So I love that part. So yeah, but no, we had the family reunion in Atlanta. I don't know if you came to that one at Catrice's house that time.
No, not in Atlanta. I went to the one in South Carolina.
She was 3 weeks old.
Wow.
When we had that.
What?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And
that's
took her to the family reunion at my cousin's house. It was like a mini family reunion.
Yeah.
But
still, yeah. What was Tony was Legend was an easy infant too, right?
Yeah, he was, and I guess easy is thinking back, like, oh, he was easy other than other stories I heard. Like he slept most of the time,
comparatively.
At night. His feedings were sometimes a little bit up and down, but overall he didn't really cry. He slept very well. I think we were very blessed, and kind of going to your point, Gundi, as me and Trev, you're planning on having a second one probably later on this year. and like we're thinking like, okay, what's going to be different? Like, what are we planning different? Like, what are things that we learned the first time that we're not going to do the second time? So I want to pose that question to you. Like, what are things that for sure you're going to do differently? I know you had mentioned obviously the healthcare system you're going to do differently. Is there anything else that you guys are planning or preparing for differently? Also knowing that the first time you had a girl, now you have a boy. Is there anything that you want to do differently or go about the process a little bit different this time? Or you did it perfectly the
So
first time?
just the so we this is why me and my wife are so compatible. We're not the best planners. We just kind of wing it. So, like, for example, you and Trevi, y'all had a schedule and routine and all that good stuff. It might come back and bite us in the butt later, but we just like we just whatever. So it's like
Yeah.
I can't think of anything in particular that it's not like okay, we're gonna do feeding this way instead of that way. Um, the only thing I could possibly think of is the pacifier.
Okay.
I don't know how much we're gonna deal with the pacifier because getting our daughter off the pacifier was like a crackhead getting rid of crack. It was bad. Like
Man,
it was bad.
that's funny. Like my kid she never took the pacifier, and not that we
Really?
were like trying to force it to her, but some people would say give her a pacifier, but a lot of people were like, that's good that she's not on it because it can
Mhm.
be tough to get them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she always rejected it. So I guess she did us a favor. I wouldn't say she's necessarily an easy infant.
Mhm.
She's not the most difficult. I don't have like horror stories, but
Yeah.
she
Now, how old
definitely
is yours?
just 5 months.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
brand new to this.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
that's super new.
I'm
Oh,
this is all like chronicling like in real time for me.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's why we started this podcast because he kept asking me questions like what to expect next. Like just so you know, it
Yeah.
gets worse, but then it gets better, but then it gets worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's
Or you just get
5 months in.
yeah, it's just getting to the point where like this is my life.
They were just playing.
Aw. Hey.
All right. She got her ball.
Yeah.
Adorable. Yeah, so we'll see.
Man.
We'll see. I'll keep you posted if she's
How's your experience been? So he says a girl.
a girl. Yeah.
She sleeps through the night, like
Well,
feeding. How's that
fe-
work? Like everything good? What's the
feeding
hard parts?
feeding hasn't been a problem. Feeding has been really good, and she latched and she did that. So she's good on that. She doesn't always love to sleep, or not for very long. So we're at the point now where she's pretty much getting through the night, but she's a noisy sleeper. Or she'll even wake herself up with her noise, and then she's crying, and we got to put her, calm her and put her back down. And during the day, does not like a nap. Does not like a nap. 20
That's
minutes,
the
30, 40 minutes is the longest nap we'll get, and we barely get that. But generally she sleeps at night. It's just at this point she might wake up just like once.
so. Tony, did Legend sleep through the night? I can't remember. I
Yeah.
think
So the snoo, I tell people like we're gonna do a product review of the snoo, which is the
Yeah.
that bassinet. Legend
I
had
think you
no
told me
problem.
about that. Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
remember you
I tell
me
everybody about it, and Aaron actually had it too, and we'll talk about that later on. But
Yeah.
yeah, he slept very well through the night. We had no
I
issues.
I was gonna ask like ones because I'm anticipating this one here is gonna be the opposite of Zaria, my daughter. So
Right. That's the
did y'all
common like.
rotate? Like, how did y'all deal
mm,
with the middle of the night waking up stuff?
Yeah, and like I said, we were blessed, and I
Like,
think
was
I
there
think
a rotation?
I think
Just
these
whatever.
post-COVID babies are different than pre-COVID babies because it's like we start to hear like the same experiences, like oh baby wasn't that bad, baby like, and then when they get to the toddlers, like oh they're bad now. So I don't know what it is, but yeah, like he didn't wake up too much in the night. We woke him up to feed and he'd go back to sleep. Like even now, like Legend doesn't like getting up for school. Like he already is in like teenager mode. Like, no, I'm good. I need a few more minutes. Like, I'm not ready
That's
yet.
my wife's phrase with our daughter. She's such a teenager. She
Yeah.
acts like a teenager, man. But Aaron, so yours, how do you deal with in the morning? Like, is it just always you? I don't know. Are you married or not
No,
living with
no, we're together,
Okay. So
and
like, how do y'all go through that Who gets up in the middle of the night?
We
How do you decide that?
it's really whoever can move first. Whoever's willing to
so
move
it's wife,
first.
so it's girl.
Nah, sometimes she's like, I just can't get up, and then I got to go do it. So
Yeah.
I would say it's more like an alternating, but like also when you wake up in the middle, when they wake up in the middle of the night and they're screaming, they just want to eat. Like 9.5 times out of 10. So
Yeah.
I'll go up and get her. So with the snoo specifically, I mean, a lot of times you just let that thing crank. Like as they get louder, the snoo kind of gets more intense. Even if you put the limit on, like the sound gets more intense, the white
And it
noise.
reads their noise?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So if they don't get quiet, then the snoo gets louder or faster if you let it.
And you
A
can
lot of
regulate
times,
that too. Yeah,
you can regulate that.
Yeah.
We don't let it get too high because after a while, it's actually agitating her. If she's not calming down, it's making her more mad. So then I'll go get her while my wife preps to feed her.
Yeah.
And that's a good rhythm. That way we're both we're both stuck with it. But again, that's with only having one kid.
Yeah.
You know. So I can't imagine if the crying wakes up the other kid, if the other kid can't sleep through, and then having to deal with 2 awake babies at 3 a.m.
So,
Not
so
something
that's
I would look forward to.
and that's a perfect segue because I was gonna ask like for Gundi, like as you guys are, I know you said you're not big preparers, but as you're prepping for like having a nursery with the Z in there as well, like have you guys thought about like how you're gonna kind of take on
So
the nap schedules and things like that?
yeah, so we actually are in a better position now than we were with Zaria. So like I said, I'm a real estate agent. I sell for a new construction builder, and so I get a discount. So they was going to build a neighborhood that I wanted to be in, this town I wanted to be in, and they've been pushing it back. And so we were in a 2-bedroom apartment, and actually we got signed that lease, and we're moving in the weekend. My wife went into labor with Zaria a month early.
I remember that.
So luckily, my mom was in town when that happened, because we literally was about to be moving in, and she went into labor early. She had preeclampsia, and so I was at the hospital with her that whole weekend where we signed our lease. So she didn't get a chance to do the nesting and all that stuff, and so but we were in a 2-bedroom apartment and throughout most of it. And so when we found out that this pregnancy was viable, are you still there? Because Tony's frozen.
No, I'm here.
No, we're good.
Oh,
We're good.
it was frozen for a second. Okay. Because we did have 2 miscarriages last year, early in the year, and then I think around June-ish, somewhere around there, we had another miscarriage, and they were very, very early. But then once we found out, this one, after our 1-year anniversary trip in October, that's when she took that test and was like, oh yeah, I'm pregnant. And so, and then it was like, all right, I got to get a house, even though the one I want to get isn't ready. And then luckily, this house was available, which is the same builder that I work for, but it was for rent. And the most popular plan and the best plan is a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house.
Wow.
That I'm getting for $2,000 in rent.
Wow.
Hey, all right. Well,
like even
to all
here,
move in.
Yeah, we coming to your house.
South Carolina, what up?
So it was set up perfectly because then we got our room and there's 3 bedrooms upstairs, 1 downstairs. So my mom is going to come stay with us for a little while because she's retired and help out. She had committed to doing that a long time ago. So she'll have a room with a bathroom downstairs.
You got to hold her to it, right?
Said that. Yeah. And then, but we have the 3 bedrooms upstairs beside each other. So my daughter have her room and the baby have a room. Nice. And so it'll keeping them apart, not worried. And especially even with crying, my daughter, she's a rock. Like once she sleeps, she sleep. Like she's knocked out. Like I play PlayStation a lot at night. I mean, I'll be on the headphones, talking, arguing, yelling, and she's knocked out. It doesn't phase her, so I'm not really worried about that. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting though, Like I said, I stay up late playing PlayStation. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night duty a lot.
You'll already be up, so it's all good.
Yeah. Like,
That's
and
funny.
that's what's weird with my narcolepsy. It's like you would think I sleep a lot. I just don't like to sleep at night. I don't like sleeping at night a lot. So
there you go.
That's
So
very
I
interesting.
know
Go
we
ahead,
had
Tom.
we had talked about, obviously the work-life balance, So for me specifically, like when I had we had my son, I was working in retail. I was sales manager at CarMax. My hours could be anytime between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. at night. And I switched that up to be around more. How do
yeah.
you see the work-life balance? I'll ask both Aaron, and Gundi, like, how do you guys see your work changing or, evolving around having a kid or having two kids? So what's the difference in that?
I'll let Aaron go first since I just ran my mouth for a while.
I have no work-life balance because I have no work right now. I'm a writer. We had a huge strike and the industry is slow to recover. So, this is kind of my work and like writing and trying to come up with new things. But, but I do anticipate things opening up a little bit in the summer and I have some other opportunities, writing in some other mediums. But for me, it balances because a lot of that can be done at home. So I can be here or I can, write at a coffee shop and we can have a nanny or daycare situation. And I'm flexible to pick her up and stuff. So in that regard, for the near future, I would say it's very, very lucky, very blessed to be able to be at home and be like, pick up a lot of slack because, my partner is pretty much a 9 to 5 kind of job in terms of when, her office is open and she's in demand and has to take all these calls and meetings and things. And she's able to work from home quite a bit too, but she's not free. Like I can shut the laptop and go do something, but she can't like tell investors and people to get off the phone because the baby's crying.
Baby's crying, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, no, I'm pretty flexible like that too. Again, being in real estate, that was one of the reasons why I got into it is because initially it's because of my narcolepsy. I couldn't keep regular hours. I have narcolepsy. So it's like managing that, trying to be on somebody's schedule. I'm perpetually late. I'm perpetually sleepy. So it's like I needed something that fit my body.
Yeah.
And then that naturally fits in with having a kid because they are random and just as unpredictable. So it's
that's interesting because I actually have insomnia
the
where
opposite.
like pretty much the opposite. Like there's times I've
Perfect.
had like real trouble falling asleep for days without anything going on in life. Like it could get really serious and say that again.
Wasn't stress related or nothing.
It wouldn't even be stress related. It was just kind of constant. And my sleep's a little regulated now because of the baby, but I still don't feel rested at night all the time. But anyway, we just, think about everybody has a different body, a different set of, whatever, and then leads to different complications and adjustments that you have to make.
Yeah. And it's like, so what I'm expecting, one, I'm going to take a much longer leave. So like I said, I work out of a model house. I have a partner and an assistant that I work with. He'll pick up the slack. So it's like being at that model, like a lot of the work, again, it's on paper and stuff. Like people come by the model, he'll be there, our assistant be there. So I don't have to be there. Yeah. We do contracts and stuff. And one of the things we do, and I always have fun with it with my daughter, because when we get somebody in the contract, we go over the contract with them, and it takes like 30, 45 minutes to explain the process going forward, what they expect and stuff. And I get on like a 3-way call with them and their agent to do that. And I'm always like, hey, I do it at night a lot after I pick her up from daycare, because that's another thing. I've been able to adjust my schedule. I'm normally, the model is supposed to be open till 6, but I leave at 5 to go pick her up because I got to pick her up by 5:30.
Yeah.
So I just close it up early. But
yeah, that's great. So you just have a lot of flexibility and yeah, you just make your own adjustments.
And it's cool to see that, we all kind of have work from home or kind of more flexible schedules. Even Aaron, when you get back to, more consistent work, it's going to be more flexible. And that's one thing I've been seeing and kind of reading a lot about, just this generation, millennials, and again, everything post COVID gives you a little more flexibility because the world changed to Zoom
Yeah, it
calls and
changed so
working
much.
from
Yeah.
home. So it makes it, especially for dads, like historically, obviously dads are the ones out of the house a lot of the times, 9 to 5, like I said,
Working
I would,
late.
before COVID, again, my schedule could be from 7 a.m. to 12 midnight any day. And for the first year, like I was working there, and it was a lot of stress. And then obviously COVID hit, and I went, it came to a different position. But we're seeing now, I think, a lot more flexibility when it comes to parenting, especially from the dad side of, dads can be home more, like Aaron said, you can close your laptop and be there for your child versus, hey, I have to, be out of the house, or, I'm gone wherever I'm at. And we don't have those times. So I feel like we're getting more time with our kids in this generation more so than our previous generations.
Yeah,
And that's
it's
what I
kind
wanted
of
to
like,
ask y'all.
go
But
ahead, Gandhi.
oh, that's what I was saying. I was gonna ask y'all, was that something you were purposely considering and thinking about before you had kids? Like, was that something you really wanted? Like, was that a conscious thought? Because it was for me. Like, I
For me,
always said,
yeah. Like
never sacrifice. I didn't want to sacrifice a relationship and being there for my kids for money.
yeah,
Like, to
I
me, just wasn't.
100%. I told my wife, like, I would work at that specific job up until he was one, and then after that, we're gonna do something else because I didn't want to miss. Everybody told me from 0 to 4, those are the years. Like, you have to be there to instill whatever you want to instill with them, to build those
Yeah,
bonds and things like that. So yeah, literally at his 2 days before his first birthday, I left that job and got another job where I had more flexibility, was able to be home more, things like that. So it was, for me, it was a conscious choice. Aaron, I know Aaron said more flexibility for a while. But yeah, for me, I definitely said,
Well,
I don't want to miss those years.
I think for me, it's maybe I didn't make quite the same choice, but I made a career choice that I didn't that I knew that I wanted to do something that was less strict for time. At the same time, this work can be very intensive for short bursts. It's
Hmm.
almost like contract work. It's like, oh, if you're writing on the show, 4, 5, 6 months of like your time is limited. Or if you're doing a movie, it's kind of the same thing. When you actually are making the movie, it might be 3 or 4 months of like 12-hour days of like, it's really tough. So in that sense, I made a choice where it's like from job to job, there's time in between that
Hmm.
I'll have off, or I'll be looking for the next job or waiting to see if we get renewed. Um, and as I write in other mediums, I see there's even more possibility with that. Like if I write, a lot of video game work now is remote. If I were to write a book or like some children's books or something, then a lot of that work, again, then I'm kind of creating my own schedule. I don't have to be anywhere.
yeah,
So I, I do think moving forward, it's more in my mind, but at the same time, there's a lot of things career-wise I want to do, and I would adjust my life to if the big project came along to that
Hmm.
project, to be honest, just
And,
try to
and
fill in the gaps with help that we needed or daycare or whatever the situation was.
yeah, Gundy, you were gonna say something. I think you were. No.
no,
Oh no,
no,
and so I was gonna say, I mean, and you guys make a point, you had Gundy, you had alluded to it earlier, and Aaron, you just alluded to it now. It's just like, having a good plan or a good partner will help make that work life balance good. Gundy, you had said, your wife was home and you didn't know she was gonna be home, so it helped take your things off the plate. And Aaron, I know you had mentioned, with your partner, you guys have a little more flexibility sometimes to do things. And if you were going to ramp up your career, I'm sure there'd be obviously an adjustment on the other side as well, and
Yeah, we
that's
have to
that's
figure it
good to
out.
have that. Yeah, exactly. And again,
It's it and
figuring
like
it
the
out
crazy thing is
every day.
like I do think you guys are entering the age, with your oldest, 3 or 4, where it's like, okay, it's one thing if you're working with a baby and like
Hmm.
you got to be at work and you got to have somebody else take care of her or mom or whoever. But then once they start hitting 3, 4, 5, 6, those years, kind of when you start really making memories that they'll really remember, then it's
Yeah.
like
mhm.
another change has to happen. Like, how can I free up more time? How can I make sure my time aligns with the end of the school day, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I remember even my mom like changing her schedule at different times in life, like, because at different school ages, you get out at different times. So it's like,
Right.
oh, she was like, can I get out at 2:30? Can I get out at 5? It just depending on what grade you're in.
Yep.
And your after school stuff as you get even older, you know.
Yeah, you start getting into sports and
Yeah.
classes and clubs and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we do swim school now. We're legend every Thursday, so we both adjust our schedules. Like we both want to make sure we're there for that. Like sometimes I can't be there, sometimes my wife can't be there. But that's the one thing. Like okay, as a family, we're gonna try to do that, and like we'll go get like Jamba Juice or something afterwards, just kind of as a family thing. Then he used to do soccer, which we stopped just because it was getting too cold and stuff. But yeah, you start to have those different activities that are going to start to really take over portions of your life. It's not going to be the nights anymore. It's going to be the afternoons and weekends.
It can get too cold in California.
Well, it was raining a lot, so there was a winter soccer. It was a winter soccer. It was like
roasted us cold.
I know, right?
It's like
you don't know what cold is.
So it rained.
Tony's from
it was
Michigan. He knows cold.
You guys leave me alone. But it was getting chilly. But realistically, we were traveling a lot. So like it was like December. So that was when we left for Africa. We went to we were doing a lot of traveling, and then it was also raining a lot at that time. Like we're not going out there for that. I don't want to stand out here and watch him not kick the ball. Like I'm good.
Yeah. Speaking of those activities, and if you want to call it selfish, cool. Have y'all thought of like, okay, have you ever considered? Okay, I don't want there to be in activities I wouldn't enjoy attending. Like with my daughter, I'm like, please don't let her want gymnastics. Or anything like that. Like,
there's definitely things
I don't know I'm cool with, but not gymnastics.
There's definitely things I prefer also. And I've thought that. I mean, I'll support if that's her heart.
Yeah, I'm gonna support whatever.
Right. But
I'm not gonna put it in her mind.
Well, so the good thing for
we're doing gymnastics, and she comes home like, "Hey, I want to do gymnastics too. Please let her friends not be into that either."
Yeah.
But anyway,
the good thing for Aaron
don't bring a drum set home. Don't bring a drum set. Don't be banging all shit.
Aaron's 6'8" and his wife is fairly tall too. So his daughter's Aaron's big. Aaron's a big guy. So Aaron, if you want your daughter to play basketball, you could probably throw the ball in her hand at about 3 years old and make it that way.
We definitely
exactly. So Aaron has the genes to back up the activities.
Right.
Yeah. And so for us shorter guys, like the swimming, the gymnastics, we'll be at cheerleading squad, on the weekends.
I'm hoping that she's on pace. My daughter might end up being taller than me.
I said my son's supposed to be like 6'1".
My wife's family, their family, like the women are tall in their family, and my daughter's like, when she switched to the 2-year-old class at her daycare or whatever, she was already the biggest kid in the class, and she's bigger than most 3-year-olds. Like people think she's like 4. It's like she was about to 3, but she's real big for her size. But I mean for her age.
We come up with them records, Caitlin Clark.
I know, right?
In 20 years.
South Carolina. I don't know if y'all remember Ivory Latta that played at North Carolina.
That name sounds familiar. Yeah.
She's probably like a year or two younger than us, but she got all the women's. Her and Raymond Felton was in the same class. Like they the 2 best South Carolina players.
Oh wow!
And
better than Zion?
Raymond Felton, as far as what he accomplished.
No, I'm just playing. It was a joke. That was a joke.
I was joking.
But no Zion haters. No, I'm not hating on Zion. Just a joke.
Yeah. but no, Ivory Latta was like 5'4" ish.
Wow.
And so like basically like this is how good she was. I was a scout team player at Clemson for the women's basketball team and a manager. And when we did scouts, we had to emulate the girl that for the other team or whatever. And I'd always have to limit myself, like, oh, she could only go right, or she can't do this. She can't, Gundi, you're too quick, slow down. She can't do this. Whenever we played North Carolina and I had to be Ivory Latta, they said, just play. Because that's how good she was. It was like, just play your game, and that's her. So she just got all the records in South Carolina. Like she averaged like 40-something her senior year. I want my daughter to break her records.
I was going to say,
that's
you want to call her up.
I want her to break those records.
We're coming for you.
It's so funny. you think about that, and we'll wrap up in a second. And this is kind of off topic, but like you think about like this is probably the best time to have a kid if you want them to be a professional athlete or go into like a specialized sport, because literally there's a YouTube video, there's a court, like there's something out there for like, hey, LeBron's son is doing this, you do that, and you could be good. Like, so
And now they
you
make
can
money
definitely,
in college.
yeah, they can make money in college. You can make money before college
NIL.
now.
Yeah.
So, but like, I think this is the best time to have a kid if you want them to be an athlete or go down a
If
certain
they want to be
like.
one.
There's a blueprint for everything.
Yeah,
There's literally a blueprint for everything.
I'm so jealous because it's like, oh, I wish I had this. I wish YouTube existed. We was coming up. I would have been better, and I was
way
decent,
better.
but I would have been way better.
You guys seen the dribble thing that they have, the dribble app where you can just have the kid dribble like for 40 hours a day, like Huh?
So I'm just saying, Mr. 6'8", your kids ain't got no excuse. I'm just saying. No excuse.
Hey, if she takes to the game, sky's the limit.
That's it.
I was working in women's basketball. Like I said, I was a manager and coach and stuff. Like it is, I swear, in my opinion, I could easily make a D1 woman player. The number one thing, be able to dribble, elite. Most can't. It's the strangest thing. You would think that would be a prerequisite, but most can't. Like that's what Caitlin Clark's shooting, of course, but her ball handling is what set her apart. Because a lot of girls can shoot.
She could get open.
Maybe not off the run like her. But a lot of girls shoot. But
and that's why I think Juju's gonna be really good too. That freshman from USC, I was watching her the other day. I'm like, oh yeah, she's a dude. Like, no disrespect, but she hooped like a dude. Like she stepped back. I'm like, oh yeah, she'll be the truth. Yeah.
Oh,
I was like,
she really grew up playing with dudes.
And that's the ultimate for everybody listening. That's the ultimate compliment from an athlete. Like for a woman to be like, oh yeah, she plays like a dude. Like it's not disrespect. It's meant to be the ultimate sign of like, oh yeah, you can play. You can come on the court. So yeah, Juju was like, oh, I'm excited to see what she does next year. After the Kane Carter,
another podcast to talk basketball.
Exactly. Pocket basketball.
Yeah, we gotta come back. But no, we got a lot of good things in, man, and definitely, I'm sure you keep Tony posted how things go, and we want to hear back from you and see
before we wrap up, Mr. 5 months, man. What question? Tony said it started because you had a lot of questions. What questions you got for me to maybe help you?
And he has a daughter too.
Well,
he has a daughter too. Yeah, you guys both have daughters.
Well, oh man, the daughter part is interesting. But right now we're just getting ready to start real food. That's the next big thing. So yeah, what do you think about that? How did you guys do it? Because they were talking about pureeing the food, but I keep hearing that you don't have to do that. Just kind of let them play with it and like gnaw on it, so they can get used to the different textures and stuff. But I want to know, what you guys did.
I don't know.
So you're not a good person to ask. We're gonna take you off the podcast.
Maybe we probably could have done something different because it's a struggle getting her to eat a lot now. I don't know if it's because of ways we were early on. Like we started giving her solid food, but I don't remember if it was a conscious thing, like, okay, now's the time or whatever. It was just like my wife, again, she's a nurse, and she actually, before she was a nurse, she worked in the daycare and stuff. So like I kind of follow her lead with all this stuff because I'm like, it's whatever. And she takes the lead on that. So honestly, I don't know how we made that transition. I don't remember.
I think that's how it happens a lot, especially with the first kid. It just kind of happens, and you're like, she's eating now. I had another friend say a similar thing, but then I wonder because we were talking like last week. Tony was at a birthday party, and his son, they were wrestling with the kids, grappling, running, and stuff. Do you have any indication of when there's like a differentiation for boys and girls when boys get more aggressive than what do girls do?
Honestly, I don't think. I think it's how you kind of train them. So like my daughter, my wife always got to tell me to calm down with her, say I'm doing too rough because it's like I'm a big kid. Like I could have worked in childcare. Like I love kids, and I get in playful mode with her, and I toss her around, and she loves it. And she tries to toss me, and she can't lift me, but she gets rough, and I'm like, it's no big deal. I don't,
Yeah.
but she does get into things at school where I'm just waiting on the age where she could understand it, so I could be like, hit them back. I can't tell her that yet because she can't differentiate
Yeah. She'll
when
just be
she
hitting
should hit.
everybody. Yeah.
Now, like literally we have a little speech when I drop her off. Like I say, hey, all right, no, and she says no hitting, no kicking, no spitting, and do what? And she said, listen to my teachers and let them know when I got to go to the potty. And what happens when somebody tells you no? She said, say okay and walk away. Like we do that every single time when I drop
That's
her off.
good. That's
Oh
really good.
man, got
Yeah.
like a mantra. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really good.
that's the way to put it. It's a mantra, yeah. Like, and she's memorized it. Like, I do this, and she knows what to say. And I told her teachers, hey, do this. If she's acting like, because it started because she was having problems, she was throwing tantrums, or she, the first day she had a new teacher, she spit in the lady face.
Oh no.
So it was like, where you even get that from? Like, and just having so like me and my wife, we don't yell like that. Like we've never had an argument, yelling, screaming. Like she didn't get this stuff from us, so it was like, all right, we gotta. That was one thing we consciously did. Like, hey, some way to curb this behavior because we're not just going, oh, you can't spank it out of them. Like that's not a solution. So it's like, okay, just something as a mantra, basically, like you said. And her teachers do the same thing. Like if she's not listening and shit, they do this and they say, yeah, she starts listening. So
That's great. Yeah.
I like that, and I think I'm gonna use that because I was telling Aaron right before you got on, and I know we'll wrap up. But same like with Legends, he's getting to that point because they learn a lot of their, I'd say, quote unquote, bad habits from school. Like we didn't teach them that, and you learn like you see that. So having those mantras or those things like these are the non-negotiables. Like you can't bite, you can't kick, you can't these things. That's actually a good idea. I think I'm gonna utilize that.
And she loves it. Like she
Yeah.
like learning it and saying it because she smiles. And then when I pick her up, she's like, I listened to my teacher. I didn't hit. I didn't kick. Didn't like when she has a good. It's like so. Yeah, no, she has fun with it. So
Kids love repetition and they love to make you proud. So if they can repeat something and they love and they can show you like, oh, I learned it and I was good. Like I'll get a piece of candy or whatever. Just that love. So those are good points. I'm actually that's something that we had not done. But
Take notes. Everybody write
yes,
that
again,
down.
everybody learns something. That's the point of the pod. Everybody learns something. We're here to talk about our experiences, and if there's even one little sound bite that somebody can take, that's what we're here for. So I think we'll wrap it up with that. Aaron, you have any other questions?
No, I'm good. We'll bring you back on, man. Thanks for coming. It's great talk.
Man, anytime, man. Like I love talking about fatherhood, man. It's the best thing ever. It's all I ever wanted, and finally happened. And I mean, I couldn't be any happier. Seriously, I'm excited for the second one.